you trust Ferguson Roof Systems to replace your roof, we go the extra mile to protect your home and property. On every job, we deploy durable netting to protect your home's exterior and landscaping. It's just one more reason why you should call Ferguson Roof Systems today.
Hey there, Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle with you. It is time. It's Friday night. Let's talk some weather, shall we? Pull up a chair, pull up a glass of wine, cold frosty beverage, whatever you got. Kick back, unwind. We're going to talk a little weather as we have a little storm system coming on in. So thanks for checking in out there on Facebook World, YouTube, Twitter, and Rumble tonight. I'll be monitoring some of your comments here for tonight. I see Karen's in the house there on the Facebook. So is Angela. Good to see you, ladies. Chris is in the house. He's ready for some snow. Kim checking in from Grove. And Carl already dropping me some stars tonight. Thank you there, Mr. Carl. Appreciate the stars. And Angela wants a foot. So she's just going all in. I like it. Hey, if you're going to go for a winter storm, right, you got to go all in. I'm with you. Brooke over there on YouTube land from Tinker, checking in. Good to see you. Chicken in the house. Chicken Mama, that is. Potawatomi. You guys' names on YouTube crack me up, especially Kings of Destruction from Yukon. But, you know, original out there, that's for sure. Okay, so obviously you guys can check in on the multiple platforms. What we're going to do here on Facebook real quick, hit that little link I just posted if you want to get me personally in your direct message so that when I do go live, I notify you don't miss it. Or conversely, you can join the other applications from Facebook or for YouTube. Now Rumble, because now Rumble's doing it, and Twitter, which will let you know when I go live as well. If you're on Facebook, they've changed the algorithms to where you don't get notified unless you make the change, which I posted on my Facebook wall the other day, I think on Thursday. It's real simple. It's about a 2-minute video. Shows you all the buttons you got to press, and then you're back in business. So you might want to take a look at that when you finish the broadcast here for tonight. Not just yet, because, as I said, we got some fun stuff coming. All right. So I know you guys are here for the snow. That's what you want, right? That's what I want. I'm telling you, I like snow. So if I can see a chance for snow, I'm going to get excited for it. And I got to say, I'm pretty excited. I like where this is going. So we shall talk. All right, for right now, though, we do have a little bit of a system out here across the Colorado, New Mexico region. This guy right here isn't really going to do much for Oklahoma when it comes to snow, except just a little bit. Let's kind of skirt the panhandle in the far northern counties because the track of this is going into Kansas. We just don't have a whole lot of cold air with it as well. But that's a look at that storm system and the water vapor. The next one's not even on the map yet. It's way up here. That'll come on down behind it. And that'll be what we're looking at the next go around. Temperatures out there this evening, though, they're chilly, but they're not terrible. You know, our winters sometimes are not that bad at times. Now, we are going to focus on what's coming on our way. So let's just look at the American model that came in around lunchtime today, just to kind of show you the snow up across Kansas, light rain for Oklahoma. And then as we head on into the next period of time, we're kind of focused here on Monday night to Tuesday. Look at all this stuff starting to develop out there in western Texas. Now, this is actually an ideal track for some good heavy snow in Oklahoma and some heavy thunderstorms. My goodness, from southern Oklahoma to North Texas, down I-35, all the way into Waco and to southeastern Texas for Tuesday morning. You can see some heavy snowfall here across Oklahoma, the body of the state. Still some heavy rain southeast on into eastern Texas. Whoa, where'd my little thing go? Let's see, one more panel over. Let's see, we're going to take into Tuesday afternoon, still snowing, into Tuesday evening, and then by the time we get to midnight, some flurries, and that's about all she wrote. So that's a really good, long, prolonged period of some snow for the state, assuming two things. And this is such a big assumption, and it is a Friday night. One, that track doesn't change at all. Right? Two, our surface temperatures, which are forecast to be right around between 34 to 37 degrees, kind of stays on the lower end of that in the sweet spot. If it stays 37, 38, 39, that's just a cold rain, my friends. That's the big difference between a couple degrees that can make. And that is where your bust potential lies. You know what I'm talking about when I talk about the bust. All right, let's take a look at the American model here again. This is the vorticity. Remember I showed you the water vapor channel? That little guy right here zipping through, and I told you the other one was off the map. Well, watch here up here in the northwest, and you'll see it come in. See right there? Boom, just comes on in, down to the Four Corners, down into the tip of Texas on the west, and then right here across North Texas, and into Oklahoma. So this is a perfect track, again, if you want some heavy snows for Oklahoma. So we got the storm track, at least in theory, right, set. Even the Icon, the German model, is starting to come around with the same idea on the track. It does weaken the storm quite a bit, but it has a very similar track to the American model. So that's good. And now it does produce precipitation, but it does throw in there a little caveat. So look right here. You got the little mixture of the rain and green, blue and snow. Look what happens as we head into Monday night to Tuesday morning. You see how the models are having a difficult time keeping this all snow? Just has a little batch here where you get some cooling aloft underneath that upper level low to dynamically cool it just enough to get the snow, whereas it's got some rain mixed in, especially the north side. This is hinting that we could spell some trouble for a bust potential. Now, I'm just throwing that out there because I know everybody's going to get all excited, including me, but I have to be a realist, and I have to tell you this is dangerous territory we're getting into at this point in the game. But I love the output. Anyway, so it does have that mixture of rain and snow across the state. Then that moves on through. So the similar track, similar kind of outcome. What I could take you a look on is upstairs. So let's look at I'll often show you a sounding, and I'll show you the profile in the atmosphere. This is the red is the temperature, green is the dew point. In other words, humidity or moisture. And when they're close together or touching, they're saturated. All right, this means all clouds, all precipitation, etc. that forms and develops. Okay, this is that little line. You see this little dotted line right here? That's the 0 degrees Celsius or the 32 degree Fahrenheit line as you go up with height in the atmosphere. See right here at the bottom? That's at the surface where we live and breathe, and that's a couple degrees above freezing. So it's again 34, 35, 36 degrees. Now, watch as this column. I started around Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. in the model data. I'm going to go 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. You see how this kind of, the bottom end just kind of skirts right here on that freezing line? I mean, hugging it as close as can be. There's, it's sitting out there. Now, in theory, now this is all cold enough, just barely, for a little snow. So it does have the blue for snow indication. So that's how close it's going to be. And as long as this dynamic cooling takes place, and we're right, west of that 0 degree line this entire event, then we don't have anything to worry about. I mean, it's snow to beat the band. It is snow to, do some stuff that we haven't seen around here in a long time. So what you can look at with that is this guy right here. This is if we take a slice of the atmosphere. So I just showed you a vertical profile. This is the same thing, but it's a slice on a panel so you can see it better. So you can see what I see. All right, so these little lines that go west to east, these little pink lines, that's the snow growth layer, and this is between 8,000 and 10,000 feet elevation. What do you need in the snow growth layer? Because this is where the snow is grown, literally. It's ice crystal nuclei and all that fun stuff. You need moisture, which is where we have the green. So this is dew point, relative humidity showing up. You can't see it just off the chart here, but it's 80 to 90%. So we have plenty of relative humidity. All right, that's something we need. What about lift? Lift is the omega. Omega is the red lines, the contours here. And we have so much lift on this map, I can't find where we don't have lift. So, whoa, we are good. So in other words, the atmosphere is primed in this particular pattern for the upper level storm system to just snow to beat the band from Tuesday morning all the way to Tuesday evening. Now, remember, the timeline on this particular deal goes from right to left, which is odd. I don't know why the makers of this did this. Everything goes left to right in our eyeballs, but it is what it is. So it's going to be a little backwards to you, but again, the starting of the point of the period is here, and the ending point is here. And when you look at the snowfall totals, it's this white line right here, okay, that goes up, and that's as the accumulates during the event. If we look over here to the right, what does that say? 15 inches of snow here in Oklahoma City. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it's hard not to get excited when you see this kind of data that looks like that. So, I'm struggling to just keep my senses about me. All right, rainfall for tonight and tomorrow morning out in western Oklahoma. Some snow, the Panhandle region on into southern Kansas. Again, some rain-snow mixture here in Woodward. I will tell you that the models have backed off some of the cold air up here, so not nearly as gung-ho with the snow that they were in the last couple of days. So you might not get quite as much as they originally thought, which was up to about 4 inches. I think they're now maybe 2. But regardless, snow stays mostly confined to Kansas. The rainfall that moves through central Oklahoma is like a one-wave thing from late morning to lunchtime. and then moves into the Tulsa area for the afternoon. We do get a secondary batch, though, that builds in here around 5 o'clock in the afternoon that moves through central Oklahoma. Very, very light stuff, by the way. All it is a nuisance. It's not going to be really enough to do much good as far as, the land, the soil, and all that kind of stuff. But it's enough to kind of make it feel a cloudy, dreary, cold day. At least it won't be windy, so that's good news. But needless to say, all that stuff is out of here by early Sunday morning. Okay, so that's just that little system I want to speak about here briefly, because I know we're all really focused on the snow. Rainfall amounts, there's 2 tenths here in Oklahoma City. There's a couple spots, maybe 3 tenths, peppered in throughout all of this little area. Higher amounts, of course, than in Kansas, but then some of that, of course, is going to be the liquid equivalent of snow. And models do vary. I mean, here's some up here from 3 to 4 to 5, 6 inches. So it's a good snowmaker. It's just not for Oklahoma. It's just one state away. Colorado has some good snow on that. So that was our HERB model output. This is the NAM model, and this is the high resolution NAM model. So all in agreement. Kansas gets snow. Oklahoma, northwestern Oklahoma does a little bit, but not a whole lot. So it is what it is. Okay, temperature-wise, we're going to be dipping down into the 30s. Well, barely, but some 30s in the morning hours here across the northern half of the state. Looks like 40s elsewhere. And during the day, it is going to be a cold day here in Oklahoma City. We're in the mid-40s. Not bad. We've had worse, of course. 40s and then some 30s up here in northwest Oklahoma. You see that temperature of 37 degrees, 36. That's just almost not quite cold enough for a good snow. So that's probably why the miles kind of backed off. Really, 34, 35 is kind of the sweet spot. You can do it at 36, but a lot of other things have to happen. And anything above that is typically just cold rain. All right, so we head into Saturday morning. It's Sunday morning. There's the 30s sneaking on in, probably some 20s out here in the Panhandle, so a cold start to our Sunday. And then we're going to warm things up, but not probably quite as much as Saturday in some areas. Just depends. We should get some sunshine, though. That'll make it a little bit better. Temperatures basically topping out mid to upper 40s across most of Oklahoma, maybe some low 50s down here across to the south, and that's about it there. All right, so now back to the snow. Okay, so the problem is you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, right? Well, the European is putting all of its eggs in its own basket. This is to rub my eyes. Okay, every one of these panels is the ensemble run, and it gets pushed 50 different ways. And if you'll notice, just about every one of these panels, all of these panels have snow. So in other words, the European is not even questioning the fact we're going to get a huge snowstorm. Not only that, but it's saying all in these little pink areas is anywhere from 11 to 16, 17. There's one up there I see around 25 inches of snow, this little guy right here. I mean, that's ridiculous. Obviously, there's no way we're at 2 feet of snow. But the idea is it's not scared. If we look into the other 25 of them, that was the first 25. Let's see. There's the first 25 right here. That was the second 25. And there's a few here that have a little weakness. Like this one right here is the poo-poo of all of them that I see. Here's the secondary one, this little poo-poo. The rest of them, though, like I said, they're nuts. So that's 48 out of 50, says Katie bar the doors. Big time winter storm. If you look at this at a different view, so instead of just a graphical view of your land, here's just a view of just numbers. Again, each one of these on the left is a run. There's 50 of them, and each one of these is a bar that goes across. So there's one bar here that had no snow in it at all. It says nothing's going to happen. This one in the gray, a couple of these say a dusting. Here's one that says a dusting, but by far and large, most of them are in that pink color. And so it all averages out to around 6 to 7 inches of snow when you get down to the bottom of it. Now, on the extended, not much of a signal here in this area. You can see there's little hints, little blips. The European is going back and forth between either ice storm or some snow. So keep that in mind. The end of the month, 1st of February, somewhere in there, that time frame, we may be dealing with some ugliness. But we'll deal with all that later. Okay, so let me see if any of the new data's come in yet. 60 hours in the New American. All right, so we'll stick with the midday run. That goes to 90 hours out. So the trend here I want to show you between the European and the American. All right, so the American, look how much snow it already has in the Texas Panhandle and into western Oklahoma by Tuesday morning. Now the European, you see this big hole right the opposite of what the American is? So they're not completely in agreement. And that's because the European has a little bit more of a southern track than the American model does. And also they differ on timing and temperature profiles and all that kind of stuff. So let's go back to the morning and then we'll see what shows up here. So that would be and let me go ahead and through time. Let's go into Wednesday morning so we can get the total of the whole system. So again, this is the morning data from all the global models. So that's 4 to 5 to 6 inches of snow, all peppered through Oklahoma when you look at the European data. When you look at the Canadian, the track is a little bit on the south end of the I-44 corridor, where it kind of cuts off pretty quickly down here in the southeast Oklahoma with nothing happening but a cold rain. But it's got some ridiculous snowfall of a foot or more here from northwest Oklahoma and then on up into Kansas, Colorado. So that's a big winter storm signal. The American model likes the Canadian model output, but favors more of the European track. So it's actually a combination of the two. And it's got over a foot of snow in all these little red areas here in Oklahoma. There's Missouri and northwest Arkansas. So, like I said, honestly, it is hard not to get excited knowing that those two things I started the broadcast with can sneak in there and ruin it for everybody. Now, here, if you want to be a real conservative, and this is the most conservative snow output that we have from all the model data, and that's an average blend of about 4 inches of snow here in Oklahoma City, 6 in Elk City, Woodward probably also about 6 or 7, a couple inches there in Ponca City or so, Tulsa at least an inch, and then down here in the south, maybe some flurries for the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but otherwise some heavy snow out in the Panhandle. That is a very conservative, and if you're talking about this being conservative, the models are really excited about it. Temperature-wise, a little bit cool, obviously, for tomorrow. And on Sunday, here in the metro Oklahoma City, your results may vary, so make sure you download my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. You can get the temperatures for your backyard on that app 24/7, 365, and track the winter storm with the radar in it. That'll change over to snow and show the blue color when it does. Otherwise, in the 30s for Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Thursday, a little bit of a warm-up. And with the question here, and the big question, in this area here, I'm going to caution you, there's too much weirdness going on in the model data, so a grain of salt once we get past about the 28th of January, as things can change pretty quickly. All right, let me see if the American model has come in yet. Oh, by the way, I did want to show you this other one here. Which one is it? Is it this one? Yeah, this is another. So we have the American model. There's an experimental version of it, which actually I believe is now beginning to be put into play. And it also has the same kind of heavy snow amounts that the older prior development version of it did. So that's a good sign. That means even though it has some new physics and new tweaking on it, it still sees the same idea as far as heavy snow. But like I said, I hate to caution you, but we're still a little early in the game. All right, let me see if the GFS, the new run, takes us out to that period yet. It's almost there. It's 78 hours. And so again, that's the Saturday deal. Let's move on by. All right, so we're now at Monday evening at midnight. So we're getting close. Probably about another, if you want to hang me about 5 more minutes, we'll have this fresh data start to pile in here, and we'll see what it does for Oklahoma and Texas. All right, so let me go a couple of your questions here while we wait for that data to come in. And I'll scroll through here also on Facebook. So always thank you for the stars tonight. So Crystal, I see you. Oh, she's got a big appointment, a cancer appointment, and on Norman at 8 a.m. Ooh, back to Weatherford. Oh, you're asking a tough question because right now the data says the event doesn't even start here in the metro until about 7 o'clock in the morning. You might, here's the deal though, it's of course you can't call the doctor's office now, but by Monday morning we're going to know for sure both track amounts, exact timing, all that. So you'll have your answer by then, in which case you'll just have to change your time. Now I will say this, there's a caveat to what I just told you though. Ground temperature is still pretty warm, road temperature is still pretty warm, and even if we only get down around 34 degrees, for example, which is still 2 degrees above freezing, the roads will be fine during most periods of the event. The only time they go downhill is when the snow gets so heavy, the snow rate overcomes the melt rate on the roadways. And in those cases, you're going to have periods where it's slushy and it may be a little compacted enough to where it may be a little slippery. But that's the worst case scenario. In other words, so that's not bad. I mean, it could be much worse if we were much colder. Angela, thank you for the stars. Also, Mary, thank you for the stars tonight. Shannon wants all the snow. Oh my goodness, Chris, thank you for the 500 smackaroonies. Appreciate the hand clapping over there. I like that little icon deal. I like how you guys share the snow spirit for these type of events. Thank you, Carl. So let me go to YouTube here real quick, and that American model will be in here probably by the time I just peruse a couple of comments and let's check it out. So it looks like some snow lovers on YouTube. Not surprised. If we got a foot of snow, temperatures will cool that night to at or below freezing, so it won't all melt. It'll stick around all day Wednesday for sure, and then just depending on the temperatures after that, it'll start the melting process will start. But I mean, you can't really melt a foot of snow anyway. So I don't care what you try to do. Goodness. Okay, so let me see here. Let's go to that American model, shall we? Let's see if it's updated. Ooh. All right. So this is in the morning hours, 7 a.m. It's got the rain moving into southwest Oklahoma with a mixture of the snow and into western parts of the state and the panhandle by mid-morning. And it's finally into the metro, so it delayed the metro by a couple of hours from its prior data set, which isn't a big deal. Has that heavy thunderstorm activity signal all the way down here into Texas. It's got that heavy snow signal here through southern Oklahoma. So let me, for example, pick on the forecast sounding at this particular time. And you will see, I just picked Oklahoma City. So one thing you're going to see here is the model still is going for the precip type of snow. And if you look here, this little blue line you can barely make out is the freezing line all the way up in the atmosphere. And it is just west of that all the way to close to the bottom with a surface temperature of 34 degrees. So remember, I've said this before, we a lot of times will get our heaviest snows when we have those surface temperatures right around 34 degrees. It seems to be like a magic sweet spot for us. It usually just means there is a ton of moisture in the air, all right? We don't have to overcome any dry air. In other words, dew point values that are very low, like you have in Arctic air. A lot of times Arctic air, you'll get dew point values in the single digits, sometimes below zero. And that's a lot of dry air to evaporate the moisture that tries to materialize and fall from the sky. We don't have that, therefore you get higher snowfall amounts, better snow ratios, etc. So that's a good thing. But like I said, we're at that critical point where add a couple more degrees to that and it becomes a very cold rain. And a lot of people are upset. Let's see here. Let's just look at temperatures here for that period of time. And let's see what they do. And I'm going to zoom in here just for a second, so we can get a good look. All right, so there's Tuesday in the morning. So there's 9 a.m. So there's lots of 30s. So, okay, so for example, let me show you something. All right, so here's Monday night to Tuesday mornings when it starts out here in western Oklahoma. So you see Elk City at 35. Now there's no cold air coming like a cold front. So this is cooling through the process of precipitation and from latent heat release, and now they're at 34 degrees just a couple hours later. Then they drop to 32. So you can see how the snow kind of develops its own environment, if you will. Once it falls, because it is obviously frozen particulates, so it's going to cool that atmosphere back down to as close to the freezing point as possible because it wants to survive. So anyway, it's going to keep there at Elk City at 33 during the event here during the day on Tuesday. It doesn't change at all. And you can see our numbers dropped here in Oklahoma City at 34. But if you look up here to Guthrie, Logan County, Kingfisher, 36 is 37. You see what I'm saying? You could just have a cold rain up here. And all you got to do is drive across the border of Oklahoma County and boom, you got into snow. So it could be one of those deals. All right. And that can be frustrating, for a forecaster standpoint. But in the evening, so here's Tuesday evening, 9 o'clock, you see the temperature starting to cool back down just by a couple of degrees. And that trend should continue overnight for Tuesday night. All right, now let me look at the track of the upper low. And let's see how it differed from earlier today, if at all. Because what I like also is consistency. Okay, so there's the first one moving by. Here comes our little next one, the jet stream. Okay, here we go. Same plot, western Texas, around the tip. El Paso moving through. All right, so let's go. There's midday, afternoon. Oh, much further track to the south. How about that? The center of it is actually DFW, really. So let me, with that in mind, I'll just do a forecast sounding for DFW because I know Jared chimes in here every now and then and goes, are we going to get some rain or some snow down here? So the model right now has you guys down in Dallas-Fort Worth at 35 degrees, but it also has you as rain. So you see the difference? It had 35 up north and it's got snow, but it has 35 down south, it has rain. That's how close it can be when you're trying to mess with something like this. Let's see, the upper low then ends up over Tyler, back into northeastern Texas. So this track's still favorable for snow in Oklahoma, but it's going to change the outcomes a little bit. Let's see what it does on the actual snowfall numbers. And we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so yeah, what it did is it dragged the heavier snow that was kind of in this whole... Okay, so this is what it did. So ridiculous. All right, so it had the heaviest snow earlier. Was it kind of like this, for the state in this zone? And then now it says, nah, we'll do it like this and put it down here. And then throw Dallas a bone. So you see, just in today alone, how that little wiggle and distance from the model data, that where the track of that upper low is, how that band of heavy snow moves around. And that, my friends, is what makes snowfall forecasting so difficult. And because these types of changes can still happen, from the day before the event to the day of. So, imagine trying to promise you the moon and the stars on a Friday night at 10 o'clock when this thing is still 4 days, 5 days? 5 days away, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 4 days away. So it is what it is. But that's the fun in forecasting. So if you say, okay, Aaron, well, look, man, we can look at model data all day long. What's your gut tell you? That's dangerous territory. It tells me we're going to get some snow. We'll also get a cold rain. So some people are going to get a very cold rain and get kind of upset. Some people are going to get some snow and a lot of snow. And I think, again, temperatures are decent enough to where travel problems at most of the time, and maybe the event, we won't have such an issue with that just because of the warm ground temps, etc. There may be periods, though, where it'll be messy for a little bit and doesn't take much, of course, cause traffic incidents. So you'll have to use like my website, aarontuttle.com, and you can monitor any traffic problems across the surrounding states and Oklahoma. So if there's any road condition issues, you'll see that pop up on the map. So yeah, the timing looks good. So it's a Tuesday, all-day Tuesday deal. I hate to tell you this, but it's just too early to say where that heavy band is going to line up. The models seem to favor the southern half of Oklahoma, but then sometimes they favor the northern half of Oklahoma. Either way, it's all measurable and it's all pretty good. So, if this was the last night I could ever see data, and I had to say something, and I wouldn't allow to change it, so I'd call for a cold rain and wet snow mix and several inches of snow in some areas of the state. Yeah, almost you have to get a little bit more generic. You can't get too specific, given what we know. And then I just have to get my fingers crossed that there's enough dynamic cooling and we get down to 34 degrees. And if we don't, then it's 36, 37, and then I got to eat it. And I go, well, that's what you get for forecasting a snowstorm 4 days out. So there you go. I'm totally 100% honest with you. Anyone who tells you anything different than what I just told you is a liar, a fraud, or doesn't know what the heck they're talking about. So that's the God honest truth. It is what it is. One day we're going to get a lot better at this in the science. One day. I don't know if it'll be my lifetime, but I think AI is what's going to do it for us. I think artificial intelligence will come in there and really help us with some of these forecasts on this type of a situation. And we need better sensor networking. So when we get those two in play, that's a whole new level. It's a whole new ball game. It's a game changer. But of course, if that happens, then I might be out of a job. They don't need me anymore. But anyway, so there you go. All right. Catherine says, usually when you talk about the American model, it's incorrect. You're right. American model's terrible. But tonight it's the only model we had that came in late, while we were on the air. Let me see. Yeah, because none of the other ones have for the global stuff. European doesn't come out until about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, and the Canadian model should start to trickle in now, but it doesn't come in usually until about 11. So those are the other two. And I will tell you this: I'll look to see usually if the Canadian and the European kind of go hand in hand, then my confidence is usually good. I could care less what the American model does at that point. But at least right now, the American model is playing the game, and seems to think that we're gonna have some fun stuff around here. So there you go. All right, well, that is it for me for tonight. I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of my Friday evening. I suggest you do the same, and we will talk again over the weekend as I will give you some more updates as new model data comes in. Till then, keep your fingers crossed. Let's hope for a little bit of snow. All right, take care, everybody. Talk soon.